I've discussed before how I come up with a transportation safety plan. The situation, however, was that in order to secure this transportation safety plan, there would have to be a revisitation of matters specifically connected to, among other things, a licensing scandal that impacted the state of Illinois under the governorship of George Ryan. This is very relevant for the time being. At this time, right now, there's also several cases outstanding, including those under Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, concerning violent video games. These are very important matters. The understanding that someone can engage in virtual reality or some sort of remote sensing, including in manners that depict acts of violence, including sexualized violence, and that somehow this is allowed to be identified as First Amendment speech and or assimilated into an aberrant concept of training paradigm. It's very disturbing. I unfortunately am not going to be able to present the rest of my transportation plan at this time. And I know that that advantages certain groups of people. Groups of people that would prefer we allow for normalization of depictions of graphic violence, including graphic sexualized violence, including graphic racialized, sexualized violence, especially if there can be some sort of fabrication of a state of emergency or a heightened state of security that then justifies getting away with engaging in such activities under the rubric of homeland or national security. This is akin to what we're dealing with right now and have been dealing with for several years. I am on the record as discussing how our failure to provide adequately for our cybersecurity has had profound consequences when it comes to transportation safety. Specifically, the means by which transportation vehicles are allowed to be used in derivative processes connected to illicit activities, which also includes allowing for abuse of access to means of transportation in order to try to coerce or compel people into acceding to illegal activity. So we're in a very serious situation because something's occurred today. And while on one hand it closes out a specific chapter, on another hand it reveals a glaring problem. Somehow, the understanding is that there is something I owe, which is ironic because I actually come from a family that was very, very significant in concepts of global transportation safety. But at some point, somebody wanted to privatize it and create a fintech paradigm associated with it that I personally find reprehensible and also understand from a significant security standpoint as being riddled with flaws, some of them fatal. It's accrued over time. I don't know what to do. It seems that it was actually very important for me to be able to be availed of my inheritance. Or, if there was just cause for dispossessing me of my inheritance, then that would have actually been proven rather than me be slandered and subjected to a variety of forms of duress, up to and including kidnapping, that repeatedly results in these cycles of very, very crucial moments when certain people have a very significant need for resources and they're not able to acquire them because I am dispossessed of transportation. And not only that, the transportation ends up getting into the hands of people that have every intention of using it for crime. Now, this particular plan I have is based on an understanding that at some point, somebody connected to a company, not from the United States, had their own transportation plan and an understanding of how this transportation plan was supposed to engage with the telecommunications system in order to facilitate wire transactions as well as address other matters concerning international communications. That was stolen. I didn't know at the time what was happening, but I watched it get stolen and I saw what ended up happening with the results. It was very, very disconcerting. Now, I know that it could be remedied, and I know that a lot of people could be put into a very advantageous situation if it were to be remedied. But unfortunately, there's been bad faith in whatever this arrangement is. For me to present it at this time would merely be to put something into the public realm that I already know has been disabused and would only serve the nefarious purposes of who or whatever it was that determined that, again, we've gotten to this particular part in the cycle of automation, and rather than correcting for errors that consistently result in loss and liability, I'm supposed to put up and provide something that there's no reciprocity in terms of addressing. I don't have any guarantee of security now any more than I did yesterday. And I apologize, it's not available. Now, if we can remedy this, I would be very pleased because this is the time frame. It's the evening before the 26th. Tomorrow is actually the day I was scheduled. I had scheduled for myself that was in accordance with all the other things that I had to offer. For whatever reason, this kind of gamesmanship has been considered the priority over anything else that could have been offered. So, until you figure out who's won the game and you engage the closing ceremonies and you distribute whatever the awards are, and then, I don't know, what are you going to do? Commemorate it in some sort of magazine or newspaper issue? You've been doing this for a very long time. We've never had a closing ceremony. And without the closing ceremony, it all just becomes entropy. And I'm not interested. As far as I'm concerned, it's done, it's over. You apparently got what you wanted, but unfortunately, because of the way it shook out, so to speak, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do at this time. I apologize. I apologize. I hope you're happy.